How's it going, everybody? Level M Diecast bringing you a showcase today. This one is going to be all about construction equipment. Picked up a bunch of oddball stuff just recently. That's going to be kind of all over the place. All this stuff is going to be older, though. It's not going to be any current or recent construction stuff. And the scales are going to be just ridiculously wonky all over the place. We're going to start off with some NZG models. These are 187 scale. These are made in West Germany. There is going to be some German print, some English print on here. This is a CAT B25 forklift. So there's going to be, some of these models will have a decent amount of movability, functionality to them, but the rest of them won't have that much functionality to it. So we're kicking it off with the forklift. You see it is just basically one solid color. It is all metal. Even this little smokestacks thing here is metal. It's quite detailed. Looks pretty good. Against 187 scale, the mast does tilt back and forth. And then there is a lifting of the boom, which looks pretty cool. So it does have dual wheels there in the front. So the entire mast, the forks, and all that stuff is metal. So this model is all metal. There is your Dietz 187 scale, made in West Germany. NZG models. There's your Caterpillar on the back. A little bit messed up there. Looks like it's probably a sticker. Didn't get stickered on there all that well. But not too bad. Not too shabby. We'll put this guy in the back. We'll put him on the top. So we got some backdrop. There we go. All right, next one up. This is the CAT 920. This one I don't really think has much functionality to it at all. But this is the same stuff we're looking at. This one is definitely a much older CAT. So this one has some very basic details. It does pivot in the center like it should, and then the bucket goes up and down, but you can't actually dump it or anything like that. There's no hydraulic details. The tires are rubber, so they are in good shape, which is pretty good. This is a pretty old piece. These are probably I would say, if I could guesstimate, I'd say probably mid 70s, maybe. Maybe a tad bit newer, maybe. A little bit of detail there on the back, but pretty straightforward, pretty rudimentary details on these. These were more meant to be display type of models. They were definitely not really meant to be play models. They weren't necessarily toys, that's for sure. Put that guy up there. This one is pretty cool. This is the CAT D4D Dozer. This one is super cool. It actually sits in the box just like that. So I'll pull the flap off the side here. See which direction it's facing. So that is the back. Get this guy out of there. This one is pretty cool as well. This one looks cool. I like the details and stuff on it. The blade moves, but it's pretty straightforward. The tracks are independent, so the tracks would move. Although I wouldn't really put a whole lot of trust in the rubber, especially with as good as condition as these models are, so definitely don't want to push my luck. The little apparatus here on the back doesn't really do anything. It's just there. Doesn't move. That's the ripper. It's just kind of there. But this is super cool. It's not stupid detailed, but it looks pretty good. I like the rivet holes and stuff like there on the front. Looks pretty cool. It's a pretty cool model. Again, these are 187 scale, so they're pretty small. I mean, nowadays 187 scale stuff looks pretty big because just construction equipment in general is much larger nowadays. Do have a excavator as well. This is the CAT 225, the Caterpillar hydraulic bagger. Details on the side there. Looks pretty cool. Get this guy out of here. Like the fact that these are not notched flap ends. It's a really big flap end for this one, but they're not notched. So I got this guy upside down. Go figure. So this one is fixed. So the arm does move up and down, but that's all it does. It doesn't pull in or anything like that. The bucket doesn't do anything or anything like that. It's fixed. Again, these are more display models than anything. There is the body section there. It looks pretty good. Again, all metal. It does rotate, although it doesn't rotate too far. It might be just stiff materials in there, but I don't want to push the envelope too much. There's no interior or anything in it, but it looks pretty good. The tracks, again, are rubber. They are independent. They do roll, but again, I wouldn't want to mess with them too much, just based on how old that rubber is. And then there is the Dietz. Always some Dietz, made in West Germany. That one looks kind of cool. Kind of bummed out that it doesn't, you can't actually, move the section of it, but it's okay. It wouldn't really display very well on the back of a trailer either, which is unfortunate. We'll put him to the side. See if we can get these all to fit. I got plenty more, guys, so don't you fret. I'm just trying to get those all up there. All right, something way different than those. We do have a Shi Mini Power. I love these things. Caterpillar 769B truck. So I actually have a couple of decals for this, but I never had the original, just regular Caterpillar deco. And this is how they came packaged. A lot of these Mini Powers came just like this, kind of an upside down looking blister. This one is pretty beat up, so we're definitely going to take it out of the package. And realistically, I was going to open it anyways. So again, these are a lot older, but sometimes they deserve to come out of the package and be enjoyed. This one does have cat there on the front, Caterpillar. This has got pretty much as much maneuverability as kind of you can for the scale. This is like 1/62 scale, I think is what I have in the package. It's a very weird scale. Shi did not try to adhere to any scales whatsoever. They just, whatever worked for the package size is kind of what they went with. There is your base Dietz Shi Mini Power heavy dump truck. It says made in Japan. Got their dolphin logo on there. That looks cool. Rubber tires on that, metal hubs, which is very, very interesting. And then, of course, like I said, it dumps. It does what it's supposed to do. It dumps. So we'll leave that guy kind of displayed dumped. All right, a bigger scale one. This one is also NZG, but this is a much bigger scale. See, it's in like every language possible right there. So little love to everybody watching out there. This one, again, made in West Germany as well. This one's probably about, I would say this is pretty close to 1/64 scale. You see that this one is broken. So the hydraulic piston has broken off of there. Unfortunately, it's got a bunch of chips and stuff on it, but it's still pretty cool. I guarantee you that the hydraulic piston broke off due to moving the blade, which is extremely stiff. These hydraulics are extremely, extremely stiff. There's really no way to fix this either and still be able to have the functionality. I can certainly glue it back up, but it would be permanent at that point. The canopy is metal, and the canopy does slide off. The window inside of there is a separate piece. That slide back in there. So the window is just a separate piece, but it does come off so that you can use the Dozer as an open air Dozer if that's what you want to do. It does have Caterpillar on the side. Not the greatest production quality of this one. See all like the prints and stuff like that, or a little crooked on it, but that's okay. The paint's pretty chipped off as well. Looks like this has been removed and put back on there a little bit too many times. But it's in good shape besides that. Again, rubber tracks. These tracks I'm not as worried about because they're much, much bigger. So they're going to be definitely in better scale. Speaking of scale, there you go. It is 1/50th scale. So this must be a pretty small Dozer in real life. Really small Dozer, really in real life. You can see with that hydraulic, it just doesn't sit right, unfortunately. But it still looks pretty cool. Just definitely something to be on display. You can tilt the blade a little bit. There is additional hydraulics in there, but very, very thin plastic. Very thin plastic. So definitely worried about the plastic breaking. So we will get this guy up on a pedestal so that he can hang out in the back. I got some big, huge, gigantic ones I probably won't be able to leave on the screen. This is the wheel tractor. This is a scraper. This is the Cat 621. This one is super, super cool. I haven't taken it out of the box yet, but I did kind of peek inside. It looks ridiculously cool. Looks ridiculously cool. This is double boxed. It is extremely heavy. This probably weighs more than all of the other models back there put together. So we'll take this guy out of here. set the box to the side. So this is our Cat 621. This thing is super, super cool. I really, really like this one a lot. Of course, it has your steering side to side with some hydraulics in there, which looks good. They work very well. It's it rotates pretty good. There is side to side movement in there as well. It's very stiff, but it does have all that movement in there. Looks good. Of course, it does have all the functionality of pushing the load out, and then, of course, the raising of the belly dump. And then there is a actuator. Let's see here. Let's see the way this actuator works. It opens to it works to open the little body there. Not really sure how it works, but the belly section would open, obviously, so that you could actually scrape. But this one is pretty good. This one's 1/50th scale, so this is kind of cool. I get to put this next to my much newer Caterpillar scraper. I don't have a brand new one. Hopefully I can get one of those soon. Those things are extremely expensive. Those scrapers are, well over $100. I didn't even pay anywhere near $100 for this one, but this one is super cool. It rolls, it does all the good stuff like that. It had an open cab. That's just kind of the way that they were. So I think what we'll do is maybe we'll bring that guy back in later, but for now we'll set him off to the side because I got something I need to open. This one's actually going to get opened up. This is off-brand. I don't know exactly which brand this is. You see, it was originally sold at Toys R Us for a whopping $297 at some point in time, and this thing has all kind of features, all kinds of working stuff to it and whatnot. Kind of crazy that it was only $3 back in the day, but it looks pretty cool. This is Hong Kong based, so whatever this is, it's definitely going to be pre-mid 80s. But this one looks super, super cool. The blister's completely yellowed. The car's not in great condition, so there really is no reason to not open this. Plus, I want to see how it works, because I think that would be cool. So we will go ahead and slide this out. It's basically like an earth compactor type of thing. So it's pretty big. It's pretty big. There has this weight here on the front. It's a pile driver. That's what it is. It's a pile driver. So it's got all kinds of functionality to it. Let's see if I can get this to kind of sit correctly. There we go. Kind of sits like that. Of course, it has all kinds of movement to it, all that kind of stuff like that. There's a little hand wheel right here. That's how you operate the section here. You see that it's taking all the slack out of it. So I can raise it up. There we go. So it's got this thing. You just open up like that. That drops the weight, which would be the pile driver. So we'll see how well this works. I think you raise it up, and I think it'll automatically... thought maybe it would just automatically drop, but I guess not. But let's get it this way. The little pieces here would open up, and then that would drop your weight down, hit your pole, and then drive your pole into the ground. I don't think, there we go. So there we go. The pole was a little stiff. So it does come with a pole that you can drive into the ground. Kind of looks like a crayon. Probably need to shave off a lot of this flashing from the plastic. But then I think it would work pretty good. Again, it's pretty basic in its functionality. This was a cheap toy back then. But you'll never see anything with this much functionality nowadays. It's pretty much impossible. Nobody would ever put this much functionality to a cheap toy. But this thing looks super, super cool, especially on display. Get the pile driver down in there. So there you go. Get a little bit more height to it. There we go. But most of it's plastic. Obviously the counterweight and stuff like that is metal. It does have rubber tracks, and then of course it does rotate. You take the pile driver out of there, it will rotate full 360. The tracks are notorious for failing, not only for off-brand stuff like that, but just pretty much anything from the 80s that was like this. They just didn't use very good rubber back in the day, so rubber is not all that great. So I try to get them set on there and then just kind of leave it. This is a Hitachi, so it shows Hitachi in the back. See if there's any brands printed on the bottom. So Hitachi, it says made in Hong Kong, but there is no brands or anything like that on there, unfortunately. So doesn't come with an extra pile driver or anything, and this thing doesn't fold down. The apparatus stays fixed all the time, but that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool, especially for a cheap toy. We'll put him like right there. All right, we do have a soil compactor. This is the Cat 825B, old school Joal. These are made in Spain. 1/50th scale on this one. You see that the package is basically being held together by all kind of tape, all kinds of just ridiculousness. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take our blade, get the tape off of there, get this model out of there, get rid of the box. There's no point in holding on to the box anymore. It's done. It's lived its life. So we'll slide that out of there. There's nothing really on the back, just, you know, showing how to play with it in the dirt. This was meant to be a toy to be played with for sure. There is a little bit of deets on the bottom. Looks pretty cool. So we'll get the box out of there. Now, of course, you know, good old quality of back in the day. So you can see exactly where it's easier to see off the camera, but you can see like where the bottom of the wheels were, where they sprayed it with yellow, where it just didn't get that much spray. See that wheel right there? Just didn't get that much spray. I just think that's funny. I always try to point that stuff out because I think it's just ridiculous. This does have the pivoting axle in the rear. So that's a staple that they still use today. It does have the cleaner in there as well to clean the soil out of it when the wheel rolls through. Looks pretty good. Those are metal bits for the engine detail. Looks good. It says Cat on the side. Does have your pivot for steering. It does have a raising and lowering bucket. The hydraulics on these Joals usually work pretty good. Even on older ones, they look pretty good. So this one looks pretty good. Does hold it up there as well. Just an open cab. Nothing fancy on that side. And we'll just roll it around. Of course, that's where you get into the model. Climb up to it. Looks pretty good. It's all metal. It's all metal except for the little bit of black you see. Those are all plastic bits. But super cool. Super cool getting some old school construction stuff. It's pretty easy to get modern day construction stuff, but the older construction stuff, not necessarily like vintage collector type stuff, but just models of old construction stuff is pretty cool. All right, the last one we have up here, this is another Joal. This is the 955L. It's a Caterpillar as well. This box is in pretty decent shape, although the piece inside to hold the model together is messed up. So again, we're just going to get rid of the box. There's no point in keeping the box. This is 1/70th scale, which is kind of a weird scale. We'll get this guy out of here. It does have rubber tracks. This was $15 at some point in time in its life. I still think this model is well worth $15 for sure. So there is the Dozer. This one is super cool. It says Caterpillar 955 Traxcavator. It is a track. It does have a ripper on the back, which does work. So the ripper will drop down, which looks pretty cool. Does its functionality, which is nice. Does have a full operating boom here in the front, which kind of works in tandem. So as you kind of push it up, it kind of pushes the bucket out on its own. But the bucket does dump as well. This is a pretty cool tractor. The tracks are pretty thin, so not super thick. See the tracks kind of popped off a little bit on this side. But the rubber is in really good shape. So definitely try to rotate those at least once or twice just to get them going. There is your deets on the bottom. There it is, made in Spain. Really, really cool stuff. A little bit of light details on the side there. Looks cool. Again, little bits are metal. I don't know if the cab opens on this one or not. Does not appear to be that case. So that cab is fixed. But there is a driver's seat down in there, which looks pretty cool. So we'll set this guy maybe to the back, to the side here. So there we go. There we go. There is the showcase. A little bit of construction stuff. A little bit of old school kind of flavor. I really like construction stuff a lot. I try to pick it up as much as I could. I know that some people have asked me over the time, how do I find stuff like this? How do I come across this stuff? I do have a lot of very weird, very unique finds that I have come across. I'll be honest with you, it's just networking. I don't necessarily like come across this stuff at a show. I don't come across this stuff on, you know, eBay per se, or you know, Facebook or anything like that. It's more networking. You know, I through a lot of people, I get my hands on stuff. A lot of this stuff right here came from Kansas, through a little bit of networking, but you know, it's just the power of broadening horizons, and you know, make more friends in the diecast realm. That's how you get stuff like this, and you just got to make sure you're willing to pay for it. So I didn't pay a ton of money for this stuff, but it certainly wasn't cheap. But I'm really happy with what I got. It's a really, really cool mix. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this construction stuff. And glad I could bring this to you guys. So until we meet again on the next video, of course, Level M saying, peace.